Well, the headline is HBO Max orders a Grease spin-off series set in the 50s. That just I goddamn hate Grease.
Yeah. I'm not a fan.
I don't know if I'm I sort of have a soft spot for Grease. I'll admit that. I'm not saying I'd go out of my way to watch the show, but
one of my personal hells would be not even having to watch Grease on a never-ending loop. It would be like once a week.
I'm glad you didn't grow up with my sister, Josh.
I grew up with my sister, and that's where it started.
See, I think I made the full circle. Like I was like, "What are you watching?" And then I hated it, but I've now come full circle and I'm back around to, you know what? I'd watch this. The songs. I listen to the songs. Not like every day, but like if they come on, I'm not gonna be like, "No, fuck you, turn this shit off." I'm like, all right, I know this.
I'm of the sort that I had enough Grease after the first time I watched it. I watched it once. I've seen it. I never need to see it again.
Andy, where do you come down on Grease?
Middle of the road?
Are you a Grease 1 or Grease 2 guy?
I can't say I've ever seen Grease 2.
Oh,
never seen that. Let's do it.
All right, I would.
That would require that would require me to watch Grease 2 because I've never seen it as well.
Oh, a twofer.
I guess my only draw potentially into this HBO Grease series is if they go like full on HBO for the Grease series and they turn it into instead of like what you would
Game
expect,
of Thrones, but in
like
Grease.
Jersey Boys almost.
Yeah, like turn it into like The Sopranos but Grease. Like they sing, but they're fucking gangsters and
Oh, it's like real gang fights. It's
yeah,
not just like, oh look, we're the T-Birds and you're that group from that other school who never got a gang name mentioned or name dropped ever.
This could be the crossover with Fast and Furious too. We'll get some underground street racing in the 50s.
Yeah, maybe I could watch that version of Grease, especially like I said, if they're singing and it's really fucking creepy and they're like over the top, like singing the same type of like songs that you would hear in Grease, but some really fucked up shit is happening.
Or like the metal versions of all the Grease songs.
Now we're onto something. This is something I can get behind.
See, now we're thinking.
What would it be? Would it be like? It would be like, ooh, 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 or whatever. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Brian said metal. Andy just
The
went to death
sad part
metal.
is, I think I know exactly what part of what song you're doing there.
Is that the only part of a Grease song that you know?
Yes, very much so.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Bry Guy and the Super Friends. I'm your host, Brian Labick. Joining me for this episode is Josh Zorich.
Mr. Movie Slut back again.
And Leslie Yoders.
Hello.
Possibly in the background, Sarah Zorich.
Hello. And Watson.
And Watson, yes. So we are doing another Never Seen That. The last time we did this was for the first Fast and Furious. For this episode, we are doing Zombieland, which I am on the hot seat for this one. So I don't even know if I should probably just hand it over to you. I'll let you run with it, Josh. You can grill me.
Okay. So to reiterate again, this was part of me and Brian's trade to finally get me into, well, at least exposed to the Fast and Furious movies, because there's no way in hell I would have just done it myself. So we traded off that we're gonna try to see how horror movies go with Brian, since
Probably
that's something he shudders from, no pun intended.
A little bit tamer horror movies, hopefully.
Yeah, and I kid you not, we so many times that we had talked about this for all the months that it kept coming up, we over and over kept coming back to Zombieland.
Yeah.
At the very least, like, there's a lot of really legit good horror movies that, yeah, they might have really explicit gore and a lot of it, but they're honest to God, just really damn good movies. Like the remake, in my opinion, the remake of Dawn of the Dead comes to mind, that James Gunn wrote and Zack Snyder directed.
Mm-hmm.
There's not no way in hell you would be able to handle that if this is your starting point. But as a standalone movie, it's really, really good, to be honest. So we're looking for something that has a lot of those elements in it, but is also like, this is definitely like a horror comedy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I get 100% like 50-50 on that. So yeah, this is where we're going to take the dive in, and then if this experiment continues, we will try to find other things that we think you could actually enjoy while being introduced to a bit more of some good examples in the genre.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking. If there's movies that you decide could work for me that I can hide behind my hands for a few instances, that would be preferable. Probably, I could probably handle those, I think.
So, and I mean, you'd be in good company, because I mean, Leslie, you do kind of do waffle fingers a lot of the time with certain movies.
Absolutely.
You do? Okay.
I react terribly, but I love it, though. That's the difference. Like, I don't shy away from it. Yeah, I'm scared. I usually bring a see-through scarf or something, so I have this veil
sheer.
layer. Yeah, this veil layer protecting me.
So like on that end for you, do you do that behavior when it's more of like a suspenseful type thing with like Annabelle or The Conjuring or Sinister, or even something where it's more like Dawn of the Dead or The Purge? Does it matter, or is it more it's more suspenseful, thrillerish?
Suspenseful, yeah, suspenseful
Okay.
stuff. That's where I get it. And my arms are in the air, and I get a man scream too. Like I don't scream like a little girl. It's always like, oh! It's ridiculous. But that's what I love it, though. It's so fun.
It really is. I think just coming
I still
off.
think you guys are crazy.
Oh,
It's crazy.
that's the thing. I will say it's not necessarily. I mean, for me, it's not this weird cathartic thing to like identify with what's going on, and this is a way that I can kind of tap into that side of myself, and there's some kind of pleasurable aspect to it, and so that's why I like to experience it this way. It's not like satisfying a part of that is there. I think there is something about it's a different kind of adrenaline.
Mm-hmm.
Like with coming off like a Fast and Furious type viewing,
Right.
There's an adrenaline that gets built up from the suspense of a car chase or a dramatic scene where there's just intensity.
Yeah.
With these, it's kind of the same effect, but for completely different reasons. I wonder if legitimately, if you looked at the brain chemical process during those kinds of things, how similar or how different they would be. Because I feel like something is being satisfied in the end.
Yeah.
The
Well, let me ask you guys,
reaction, that suspense.
Does it make you guys feel uncomfortable?
There's a few in my life that I've just flat out thought that I don't see much of a redeeming quality to certain parts that I'm watching, that just go beyond let's show brutality for the sake
Right.
of putting brutality on screen.
Yeah.
There's not much of a character advancement for that reason. There's not much of a plot advancement. There's nothing that it's trying to get you to understand more about the world you're watching. So that there have been a few. There's definitely lines I have. How about you?
For me, I don't do well. I've said this before. I do fine with supernatural stuff, monsters, aliens, everything, that kind of brutality and killing. I can separate it. But when
Yes.
it's like a person killing another person, especially the sadistic stuff, I
Yeah.
have a hard time with that. The torturing, I have a
Yeah.
really difficult time with
Sure.
that. I don't get any sort of it's not pleasurable at all. So.
Yeah, and I think we just had this conversation recently, and we brought up examples like the two Stranger films, The
Yeah.
Strangers and You're Next. If he's those are kind of
What is that? Hostel, I think, is one of them.
Hostel is
I have
a hard take.
I
Yeah.
watched accidentally. It was one of those where it was playing on something, I don't know,
Right.
but I just caught a part of it,
Yeah.
and I didn't realize it was even on TV because I was doing something different, and I was so disturbed by it. I just couldn't even function. I just couldn't get it out of my brain, and
Eli Roth
yeah.
definitely pushed the envelope with those.
that I can't. I have no desire to see those. But if it's an alien or a monster or a vampire,
Yeah,
I love it.
I'm with you, because those especially
Or zombies
were the first one felt like it was exhibiting that, but was also showing this really ugly side of humanity. And then when I feel like it kind of became a surprise hit in a way, the sequels to it abandoned that aspect of it, in my opinion, more. And we're like, how much further can we go?
Ugh.
How much
Yeah,
more
yeah.
uncomfortable
Yeah.
can we make people just for the sake of it?
Mhm.
I'm nodding agreeing like I know, like I've seen it, but I haven't.
Yeah, it's just like,
Yeah.
like I said, I think as you said, it's a good way to the way you said it was good, which is you kind of divorce yourself from it. You're not investing yourself in that world. You're just kind of so. I mean, a good example. We just watched. Sarah and I watched Leprechaun Returns last night, which I looked up this morning. Sarah, it's actually like the 7th or 8th in the series, not like the 5th like we thought.
So you missed a couple.
So that no, we saw them all.
Oh.
We just forgot. There's like.
I completely forgot that we had seen most of them. I think I blocked them out of my memory because they're so bad. The first one's tolerable.
Yeah, there's like Leprechaun 1, 2, 3, Leprechaun in Space, that is the literal title. Then there's Leprechaun in the Hood, Leprechaun Back to the Hood, and then they did an Origins film like 5 years ago, and then they just are trying to reboot it again now with this Returns. But that kind of stuff is so silly
Yeah.
that it's really easy to just look past it all the time. But yeah, I'm with you. So we don't expect any of those issues to come up this time. I mean, the cast. So you've also, Brian, you've said you've come across parts of this at random times.
Yeah, I
like
think
on TV.
I've seen bits and pieces on TV.
And we're
So I've
coming
seen-
10 years.
Yeah, so
coming
I've
up
seen,
on this.
You know, the censored version of it. I've never
Mhm.
actually just sat down and watched it the whole way. And the parts that I've seen on TV, I was like, you know, it's edited, so I can deal with that without having to worry about the really gory stuff. So I was
Right.
like, this is fine. But I mean, and we've talked about the people behind the movie and the people in the movie. Like all that is in my wheelhouse. So I get the comedy, and the comedy is in my wheelhouse. So
Yeah. I mean, these writers are the people that went on to write Deadpool.
right.
You know, so
So-
they know how to make this sensibility.
So I have no doubt that I will like it. That's not, I guess, the hurdle I need to get over.
Yeah. And the thing that they do well with is the parts where you get like a good makeup artist putting in those, you know, special effects,
Yeah.
those practical special makeup effects and whatnot. Like I said, they are detailed when they need to be, but not, like, in my opinion, honestly, in this one, like, not really over the top just for the sake of it.
Yeah.
Like, if this were happening and this is what you did to a, quote, you know, a zombie,
Yeah.
physiologically, what would it look like? What would happen? So they took it seriously in that regard without having to push any further just for the, you know, sake of doing
I'm
it.
trying to think of like other zombie movies that I've seen. Like, is it on par with like Shaun of the Dead, or is it a little bit gorier and bloodier than Shaun of the Dead?
Honestly, I'll admit it's been quite a minute since I've actually sat down and watched that. What do you think? I don't quite remember.
I think a little. It's more.
Okay.
It's more. There are a couple parts in Shaun of the Dead where it might be a little bit like at the end of at the Winchester when they
Yeah.
what's his face out like that. It's a little bit, but this movie is a little bit more than Shaun of the Dead.
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
But again, in like really fun ways. Like, there's never a moment I feel that is pure terror. You know,
That's the yeah. I'm not
You never separate those other elements.
more
out.
the horror stuff. Like the stuff that makes me feel uncomfortable, I don't go out of my way to watch. So
Sure.
horror movies do that to me, and even like something like certain comedies, like Dinner for Schmucks, is an uncomfortable funny, and I don't like that movie because of that.
Interesting. Okay.
So it's I don't know. It's just something I don't go out of my way to subject myself to.
Yeah,
normally.
fair.
Yeah.
I mean, most people don't.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I love
What-
being uncomfortable.
What makes me feel what makes me feel the worst, and how can I get the most of that?
Yeah.
No, that's reasonable. I got you.
But even something like Hot Fuzz,
yeah.
like, is over the top violent at some
Yeah.
point. So I'm sort of expecting maybe something like that for this.
you know what, that's probably a pretty good bar. If that's a reference you have,
Yeah.
I could see that.
I mean, literally, a piece of a building falls on a guy's head and goes through him in that movie.
Then he walks around for a little bit.
Yeah, it's played for laughs, and I
Yeah.
think that's why I can get around some of that stuff.
Yeah. I think you'll be okay. You're not going to throw up.
No.
We'll make sure to turn the podcast on if I do.
Yeah.
Quickly, someone fire up the mixer.
Reporting live.
That'll be great. Reporting from the field live.
Brian could in fact not handle it.
Yeah, watch the
Breaking
Brian Guy
news.
Super Friends
We were
Twitter
wrong.
account. We may live tweet if I pass out.
We'll call for help before we start taking pictures or sending videos. We promise.
I'm here. I'm a hero.
I mean, in between like help showing up, I can't promise we'll be good people. But
Yeah.
any last thoughts?
I'm excited to revisit this movie. It's been a while.
I am. So
This is the 10-year anniversary.
10-year anniversary. We hope maybe you guys will get to hear this. We're not sure yet.
Yeah, we'll see when it comes
before,
out.
Before the sequel is going to come out. But we're recording this on October the 5th, and sequel is out in like 2 weeks. So yeah, we're definitely happy to be doing this right before waiting a decade for a follow-up for this amazing masterpiece.
And I'll throw it out there. Chances are, if I like this, I will probably want to go see the sequel.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
So we'll see how this ends up.
Yeah.
But
He's going to edit that part out.
that's true. It's by itself. So if it sucks and I just shit on this thing by the end of it, yeah, I can cut that
I
out.
can always take that promise away.
I have the power.
Yes. All right. Well, I'm excited to see this movie and to see what happens afterward. So we will
we'll
be with
record.
you guys very shortly in your world, but we will get back to the post-film discussion very soon. So we'll see you there.
And we're back. Welcome to the Time Warp. We've made a jump a few weeks into the future in just a few seconds. And we've also replaced Sarah Leslie with Andy Stoles
What's up, podcast people?
and Mike Bradley.
It's time to go heels to Jesus.
Jesus. Crap.
All right, so frequent listeners of the podcast, you probably don't need this, but if you're new to the show, I did a terrible job of setting this up in our previously recorded section, so I'm just going to run through this again. This is the back half of our Never Seen That episode for Zombieland. When we've done these before, traditionally we try to sit down, try to record a pre-movie section for whoever is on the hot seat and can talk about what they know before actually watching the movie they haven't seen. Then we take a break to watch it. Then we come back and reconvene to record a post-movie discussion and really try to sort of dive into this. So that's where we're at now. We're at the post-movie section for this. And I also feel like it's worth mentioning, just so we're all on the same page and no one's confused. I'm going to try to get this episode out before our Never Seen That for Fast and Furious, even though we recorded the pre-movie section. I think I had them reversed and we mentioned doing Fast and Furious first, but I think we're going to record timing in the release schedule wise. We're going to put Zombieland out first. So for anyone that gets confused about hearing about an episode that they haven't listened to yet, it's coming. Hang in there. We'll get it to you.
Like
So
the
just-
little kitty in the poster. Hang in there.
Yeah, that's exactly the one. We also thought it was fitting that since Zombieland 2 is coming out the week we're recording this, that we could try to get this one out around that time. So hopefully you can hear our thought, well, at least my thoughts and our thoughts on Zombieland. So since we are doing Never Seen That for Zombieland, that puts me back in the hot seat. So I'll open it up to you guys. What would you like to ask about my experience with Zombieland?
So as the one that was in the room with Brian when he was watching, I guess I would start with a quasi apology actually, because leading up to it, even like the weeks and even as like we're like putting the disc on and getting it ready, kept saying like, no, it's really not that bad of a gore movie. You know, it doesn't really rely on that so much for its purposes and whatnot. And I guess it had been a couple of years since I maybe have watched it, but I kind of forgot, like in the first like half an hour especially, there's like 7 or 8 moments where it's definitely like not just in the opening sequence where they show like someone going through a car windshield or someone getting injured, but like, oh, look, yep, those zombies are just ripping out those people's intestines. Yep, there they go.
Let me see if I can throw a guess out here since you're talking about that. Brian, in that first half an hour, or rather in the entire movie, I'm going to guess there's one thing specifically that got you worse than any of it.
Okay.
And I'm guessing that's when Columbus is in the bathroom with 408 or 406, I can't remember which one she was, and he puts the shower curtain across her face and she busts through it. I'm guessing that might have been the worst of it for you.
She
No.
like vomits up.
No. Yeah, like
something
it's
through
it's
the
like
thing.
her tongue comes through and it's just
Yeah.
disgustingness like pouring out.
I mean that was disgusting. But no, I think the worst. There's two moments that stick out to me. One was in the opening credit sequence that Josh was talking about.
Yep.
There's a very close-up shot of a zombie like getting someone's neck, and then it just lingers on the zombie as he continues to devour said person's neck,
yes.
right
Yeah.
up against the screen.
That's, if I remember, that's in like the first like 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's like the
It's like opening shots.
yeah,
And then
like
I
the
think the
national
second-
anthem's still playing.
The second one I think was when Columbus and what was Woody Harrelson?
Tallahassee.
Yeah.
When they find the zombie on the road that is just ripping out like intestines.
The guy. Yeah.
See, I would have figured
So-
that whole Amber Heard scene with like the bone popping through the ankle and then that.
Oh
all
yeah, that
following
was.
through
But
and-
like quick stuff like that, as long as they don't linger on that stuff, I'm like I can blink and miss it, so I'm okay. But the stuff that just like let's just zoom in and wait and let
So-
it fester.
So I'm assuming that you saw the Cornetto trilogy, right?
Yes.
So how did you do with Shaun of the Dead?
So that's the difference. I think those movies are played more comedically. Not that this isn't a comedy, but I think the violence is played comedically there.
Yeah, even
where-
even in those moments, you're right.
and it like something about the blood splatter and stuff. I think I can tell is like, oh, that's CG. Like
Yeah,
the
Shaun of the
stuff
Dead's
here
much-
is makeup and
much
practical.
less realistic, I think. It's not meant to look real. It's made to look like models and shit like that. It's meant to look
Right.
like very 70s and 80s horror gore.
Because I made that comment when we were watching. Like in Hot Fuzz, a piece of a building goes through a person, and I can watch that fine and laugh about it. But the stuff that happens here, that's just someone eating someone. I'm like, ugh, no, ugh.
I've had this discussion with Brian before because sometimes like his triggers on it has to be live action because I know the video games don't bother him because he like
Not as much,
we discussed
yeah.
before that he actually really likes the Resident Evil series and I was like confused as hell.
That's
And
surprising.
Dead Space. Dead Space is really
Right?
good too.
Yeah, and Dead
Yeah,
Space
because
is
you're-
like a
you're
pure
just
gore fest.
Yeah, you're just dismembering things. That's your goal, is like to have the most dismemberments.
Yeah. So I like just watching it today. I just wanted to mention this. There's a moment in the opening sequence that makes me laugh out loud 100% of the time every time I see it, no matter how many times I watch it, and that's the stripper with the booby tassels in slow motion running. That's just and there's like the obvious fat businessman running away with cash in his hands. That gets me every time. Like every time I see that, it just makes me laugh.
Andy, I know these guys have said they've watched. Well, obviously, I watched it with Josh. Mike just said he watched Zombieland recently. When was the last time you watched Zombieland?
Probably 5 years.
Okay. You gonna rewatch before Zombieland 2?
Probably. It's one of my up there as far as zombie movies go for me. So.
Okay. Cool.
There is, I don't know if it's just a one-day thing or how long they'll run it, but I know AMC, at least I've seen that they're doing double features.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, okay.
Is that like opening weekend they're doing it, or just one night?
That's why I haven't looked enough into it yet. I don't know if it's going to be like maybe only like one showtime a day for like 3 or 4 days opening weekend. Or
Yeah,
if it's
yeah.
like a one night only thing, I'm not quite sure, but I know I was aware that it was happening.
I'm trying to think of stuff. I didn't actually
So-
take notes when we watched it. I probably should have.
Well, I'll ask you a question then, Brian. What's your favorite rule
That's
for
a good question.
Zombieland?
Let me see. The double tap. Obviously, double tap.
Double tap? Okay.
Yeah. Because that's I know that's exactly what I would do. If I shoot a zombie, I want to make sure that fucker is dead, and I will shoot him as many times as possible to make sure they do not get up again.
So what was your favorite comedic use of a rule then?
Shit.
So I feel like double tap's there, but I don't feel like they make a joke out of it as much. They just kind of point out like, hey, double tap.
I think the first time it's sort of used, right? I think it's in the parking lot when he's got the shotgun and he
The
has to
cardio.
reload. Yeah, and he has to reload, right, to get the second shot off.
Oh,
He shoots
yeah.
and it's just this delayed action to get the final second shot in.
That's fair.
Okay, yeah.
And I liked some of the way they did some of the title cards and stuff for the rules.
Oh, yeah. Like my personal favorite's Limber Up.
Yeah.
The way that just falls off the car at the back.
Right.
end of
That's
it, like-
exactly the one I was thinking of, yeah. Because they don't really mention the rules for a long time up to that point. They kind of get away from them. And then there's this instance again of like, hey, remember we told you. Remember.
Limber Up.
Yeah, they did come back around, which I thought was cool. I was
So-
actually surprised there were less rules in the movie than I thought there would be. Or at least they go
Agreed.
over less than I thought.
Yeah, they didn't
Yeah.
mention as many. But there
'Cause I
is a
think-
number of them.
Right.
There's a list, but we don't know the whole list. We know some of
Yeah.
them.
Because he adds enjoy the little things.
Yeah.
So you're presuming that's the next newest one that he's putting there, and that's like number, I don't know, like
It was,
32,
I
34
think it was
or something.
24.
Okay, is that okay?
I just watched
So-
it today, so I'm pretty sure that it was 24.
Okay, so like even in that context, yeah, I think they only really maybe mention in totality like maybe 6
Yeah,
of them.
sounds about right.
And I know I've brought this up in conversations in the past. I'm not sure if it like contextually ever fit to be on an episode here, but I have always wanted them to release a Rolls poster, a la, vis-a-vis Wedding Crashers.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping, I don't know, maybe, hopefully we'll get some more roles revealed in the sequel, and maybe that'll be a good prompt for them to finally like release some kind of merchandise of something that would have
It was
a more
based on a
comprehensive
book
list.
that you can buy and read. Max Brooks' Zombie Survival Guide is what this movie was based on. So Max Brooks has actually done like several like shows, I guess you want to call
he
them,
did.
like convention shows type of thing,
Mhm.
where he like discusses all the rules and his reasons for them in the book.
We'll have to read it. I mean, I have actually, yeah, I have read that. It's been a while, but since it reads more like it really is. It's not a narrative. It's just like a field survival guide.
Yeah.
Like I can see areas where they like boil, so a lot of the principles down to what he's saying down into those. But I would still like, absolutely, I will go to Spencer's or wherever I have to go to buy like my regular sized, 24 by 36 inch Zombieland poster if you give me the rules. You will get my money. I'm telling you that right now.
There you go, Sony. Free money.
Yes.
Are you gonna say, Andy?
Yeah, didn't Max Brooks write like World War Z as well?
Yes, that is excellent to read.
And it's way better than the movie.
Yes, much more
I
detailed.
didn't mind the movie, but I've never read the book, so
I think I still have it. I'll have to look. Yeah,
Well,
I
I-
still have it up there. If you'd like to borrow it, I can borrow it to you.
okay.
I have it sitting there.
The reason I feel that way about the book is not just because like everyone says it, like, oh, the book was better. Literally the only thing the movie took from that book was the title.
And the
Oh,
name
it's
of the
not
main
even
character.
remotely-
Yeah.
Not even remotely close.
Jerry is the name
no.
of the main character. That's about it.
No, the book is basically like a series of like interview vignettes, almost
Short,
with this
long stories, kind of
Yeah.
broken up and told by different people about
This-
their
Okay.
experiences in the war.
writer, the quote writer of the book, goes around the world after the zombie apocalypse and like when humanity has kind of gotten like back on top and everything, and he's interviewing people about the experience throughout the conflict, and then it's just these like shorter like vignette narratives there, but there's not like an overarching narrative
Right.
that's happening. So yeah, for the most part, the movie, well, yeah, like I agree, like it's very entertaining in and of itself, but to me the premise of the book and like the way to set that up and show that would have been very interesting to see adapted
Yes.
on screen. So once I saw the movie, I'm like, I was only let down because I had a certain vision in my head of what I was hoping it was. But yeah, it's still enjoyable.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah,
Brian,
it's worth a read.
what did you think of the gigantic cameo in this movie?
Okay, so that's something actually I was talking to Josh about when we were on the day.
Uh-huh.
I knew that the cameo was in there. I've heard people tell me about the cameo. The few times I caught the movie on TV, I've never actually seen the cameo. So this is technically the first time I actually sat down and watched it. Like, I knew what happened, but still, just seeing fucking Bill Murray in there,
Big BM.
I loved it. And even, I don't think I realized how many, like, Ghostbusters references are in that short little 10-minute sequence.
Oh my
but
God.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I dig it.
Like-
I still laugh my head off every single moment and every time that I hear Emma Stone do her Janine impression.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I love that.
Like, for me, the whole sequence that opens it, when Bill Murray shows up, like, you start out, she hits the golf ball, and it cracks off the wall into the back of Woody Harrelson's head. Like, it hits Tallahassee, and he's like, oh, and then Bill Murray walks into the room, and he gets whacked with the golf club, and his reaction to that is just
That
"Oh,
scream."
no!" You know,
It's
and
just
he's
like, ow!
and like Tallahassee looks up like, Bill Murray, you're a zombie? And just the whole conversation with him, like, oh, I saw Eddie Van Halen. Oh, how's he? He's a zombie.
He's good.
Like,
Just
So I'm at
the whole thing
Hollywood
of
Bowl.
like, well, I like to go out. I'm like, well, that's definitely
Yeah.
Bill Murray.
yeah,
I like to, I like to do
I
stuff.
just did 9 holes on the Riviera. Like,
Yeah.
like, what the fuck?
Like, I feel like if there was a zombie apocalypse, that's exactly what Bill Murray would do.
Yeah, like,
Just,
like his,
just no fucks given. Just gonna do what he wants to do.
and the way they kill him is just fucking hilarious. They have him like he turns around, just boom, and then he's like, "Oh no, I shot Bill Murray." Like the realization that he just killed Bill Murray is like,
After he just idolized him for 2 hours watching Ghostbusters in his theater room.
yeah,
Yes.
that was also hilarious. Like, oh, you're about to find out who to call.
Yeah.
It's just so like ridiculous.
It's
like,
the Ghostbusters.
and the
Did
Twinkie
you
reference back to Tallahassee.
appreciate the Garfield line as much as I hope you did?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Have any regrets?
That was, I will say, that was a line that was spoiled for me. I knew that was coming.
Oh, okay.
I think when I've heard about that sequence before, that was one thing that stuck with me, just hearing people recount what that cameo was.
Mm-hmm.
So I did know that was coming. But still funny. I did enjoy that.
Yeah, Bill Murray is just so fucking great.
He is.
I mean, there's so many things about that whole long scene. When they first get there, before they like see Bill Murray, they're in the kitchen looking for Twinkies,
Mm-hmm.
and she says like, "Oh, we should have gone to Russell Crowe's house."
Yes.
Like, there's just so many. That whole sequence, they all like trade around the Purell after they dump his dead body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's
So so a couple of weeks ago, I forget if we were talking in person or commenting on like Facebook page posts, but the trailer, like the trailer for Double Tap was released, and also recently the trailer for Harley Quinn was released. And I think to both of them, I think I said for Zombieland months ago, I said, I am not absorbing anything. I'm going total blackout on this. I want to go in so fresh. Well, they showed both of and they showed a Red Band trailer in front of Joker, and I just didn't, I don't know. I didn't feel like getting up and leaving. I didn't feel like doing my whole normal thing. I was thrown off by them. I wasn't prepared. So I ended up seeing the trailers for both of those movies. And I don't remember a whole lot of what I saw from the Zombieland one, which I'm happy about. But what I was a little sad about was one of the ways that they were selling it was like from the director of Venom and from the writers of Deadpool. Not to mention the writers and director of the first Zombieland.
Yep.
The same people have made this one too. Like, why
Zombieland
not
1
also...
was 10 years ago, man. You got to go new and current.
Well, right, but like, why not at least include both of those? Like, why not sell that too? Like, yes, I don't know. Like, unless they're assuming like we might bring in some like brand new audience who never even knew the first one existed.
Yeah, I think that's I think Zombieland 1, I think, is still considered a cult hit. So the people that like that movie are going to go see 2 regardless. That promotion is for people that don't know anything about Zombieland 1.
I personally,
Alright.
with their promotions, I loved the first trailer they released, I believe it was, when they open it, and they're like, Academy Award nominee, Academy
Yes.
Award nominee, Academy Award winner, Academy Award nominee. And they're like introducing like the whole main cast this way, and they're like, and they're going to be in Zombieland too. Like, it's, of all the movies these people are making, you get 4 of these highly talented actors to come and do this again. Not just once,
Yeah.
you get them to do it again. It was that much fun and that good that, yeah, they were busy for a long time, didn't get to make it until now, but now we're getting it again, and look at how successful these people have been in that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because a lot of that nominee and winning and all that, I don't think Woody Harrelson's was, but I think the other 3 are in that gap between the 2.
Abigail Breslin's was before, because hers was for Little Miss Sunshine.
Oh, okay.
Great movie, by the way. I
Yes.
love Little Miss Sunshine. It's a really good movie.
But I mean, to be fair to her, like she was like 8
Right.
at that time, and she was like 13 in Zombieland, so
Yeah.
she didn't have as much time there. And anyway, but Emma Stone won
Right.
since then. Jesse Eisenberg was like the year or two afterward, and I think did Woody Harrelson get another nomination after
He might have.
Zombieland as well? Because I think he had one for Natural Born Killers. Did he get one?
I believe that was one of the nominations. I believe he's been nominated more than once.
Yeah. So I don't remember if he had like a supporting one for
True
even
Detective,
No
maybe?
Country for Old Men, for instance. That would have been before Zombieland, but still.
Did he get a nod for? Wasn't he in True Detective with McConaughey?
Yeah, but I think that would technically fall under Emmys.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Yeah.
But still.
Nonetheless, it's an impressive group of people coming for such a ridiculous premise.
Agreed.
And that to me says volumes about how much the first one resonated with everybody who watched it and enjoyed it. Which will lead me to my next question for Brian. Recently, we found out that you're going to see the show on opening night for Zombieland 2 with us, in spite of all the gore and everything that normally puts you off.
And let us point out that Brian solicited us.
Yes.
To start that conversation.
I just asked if you had plans. If it was happening, I said I would tag along.
So, did you enjoy Zombieland that much that you're just sold on having to see the second one?
I don't know if I hold it on as high a pedestal as all of you seem to, but I did enjoy it and like it enough that I would like to see the sequel.
Okay. Fair enough.
The zombie movie stuff in general isn't normally in my wheelhouse. So, but I did like the first one enough that I do want to see what they do with the second one and see where it stacks up. I don't know if, I guess I'm unsure how many repeat viewings I would do of either, but
Fair.
I'm not like mad or sad that I saw them or saw this one.
Okay.
What would you say? I mean, so obviously there was enough about it that you enjoyed to get past anything that you may not have particularly liked, or that, like as you said, not normally in your wheelhouse. What kinds of things about the first one would you say that either you liked the most, or that you might have found the most surprising or contained in a movie? Like what about it might have been your hook if it wasn't exactly the horror zombie side of it?
I mean, the cast is a big part for me. I think the interplay with everybody is the selling point for me, and the writing for the movie I thought was pretty top notch. I like that. I don't know if the direction really stood out to me too much. I like even being marketed as like the director of Venom. I don't know if that carries too much weight for me. Writers of Deadpool, I'm cool with that. That carries more weight, I think, than direction for me.
That's a good point. I think the direction or like cinematography, anything like that you could point to was more steering the ship the way that it needed to go.
Right.
And making sure everyone gave the performances and they hit the beats that they needed to. So it was probably, in the end, it was very much probably a team effort, but direction doesn't maybe stand out as much.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like I have more memorable quotes and lines of dialogue than like, oh, that shot is pretty cool.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
I have two questions. First, if you had to name Zombie Kill of the Week, what are you going with from this movie?
Oh shit, I probably can't remember a lot of what was shown in the movie as far as specifics. So I don't know. Pass. Okay. I can't. Okay. I'm not gonna be able to think.
We'll come back to it later if you think of something. Second question: snowballs or Twinkies?
Twinkies. Yeah.
Okay.
Twinkies all the way, man.
Yeah,
I thought about the snowball for a second, but Twinkies are good and delicious, but like Twinkies are double level for me because not even just is it a better food, but two, it's a key point in this movie and a key point in Ghostbusters. So
that's a big Twinkie.
Yeah.
For me, that was one of the things that resonated most with me for so many reasons. When he first runs into the snowballs and he says, I hate coconut. Not the taste, the consistency. Because I had been saying the same thing for my entire life. And finally, somebody validated that on the big screen for me. And yeah, I still hold that opinion. I can't eat like coconut. Can't do it. So I'm 100% on the Twinkie team.
Yep, I was going to say the same thing.
I think we're all Twinkies then, right?
Yep.
Well, Josh didn't answer.
Yeah, generally, I guess between those two specific things. Because I'm trying to think. I'm not.
Josh is a ho-ho man.
Well, I'm not opposed to coconut, but if I think about like, for instance, like almond joys, I probably don't like that type of coconut product for the same reason that I might not enjoy a snowball, but coconut in general, I'm not opposed to.
Right.
Okay. Fair enough. I don't know. You guys got anything else for me?
Yeah. Did you have a favorite sequence or scene?
I did. Like I said, I did really enjoy the cameo. Shit. Now I'm trying to think of specifics. See, this is why it helps doing the post recordings right after we watch, because now 2 weeks removed, I'm trying to remember what the hell I watched.
So my personal favorite is the entire amusement park sequence at the end.
Like,
yeah, okay,
Tallahassee locking himself up in the little
himself up, and you get a lot of like drama, like, ooh, is he maybe not gonna make it? They're giving me like that hero music, and then like you get the fucking zombie clown thing, and he, Jesse Eisenberg's like, fuck you, and then like does it anyways.
And the little like nose honk that happens when he hits him with the hammer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just the little notes like that about that movie that you remember. Sorry, go ahead.
If I recall watching it for the first time, I really thought Tallahassee was not going to make it, just based on the slow-mo music. Yeah, just like, ooh, man, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
See, I guess that's the downside of me coming at this late, having seen trailers for Zombieland 2, knowing that he makes it out alive to be in the second one.
Yeah,
right.
There's not that emotional impact of him surviving, which
right.
I'll lead into Andy. Maybe we can help you find your favorite moment. Because my favorite moment, personally, comes right after that. My single favorite moment in the film comes when Tallahassee finally gets his Twinkie. And the look on his face when he just barrels into a Twinkie. That's my absolute favorite moment in that movie.
I don't know. I think the one that sticks out with me, I think was one Andy mentioned. I think Tallahassee barricading himself in that little stand. I was like, you know what? As zombie moves go, like fighting for survival, that's a smart way to do it. Because you can still shoot through it. They can't get into you. Yeah. As long as you got ammo, you're good to go.
He's shooting 360 degrees. He's just
blam.
The way he shoots, he like puts the gun behind his head. He's he's doing very Tallahassee things. It's ridiculous. You don't even know if he's hitting his shots when he does those things, but he's doing it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's an awesome moment.
I just like the whole interaction with Woody Harrelson and Jesse Eisenberg. Like, especially their first like scene or two together after they meet on the highway, and just getting used to each other's personalities and presence. And I forget what the exact quote is, but it's after Tallahassee picks Columbus up, and I think they're starting to drive away, and they're talking a little bit, and Tallahassee just says something to the effect of like, well, I don't know if we should get to know each other that well yet, because you do seem like a little bitch. Something to that effect.
Yeah, like, I'm sensing you're a bit of a bitch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, their personalities just played off each other so well.
Yeah.
Well, like that opening instant when like they play like the Western music when Tallahassee steps out of the Escalade,
mm-hmm.
and Columbus is shaking violently.
Yeah, visibly, horribly shaking,
trying to stand there. He's just stone still, holding the gun up. It's just that difference is so great, and I'm looking forward so much to seeing more of that interaction. and seeing where they go with how the characters have changed. Because I'm hoping there's like a 10-year gap. I'm hoping it like that time lapse is acknowledged and that they've, the relationships have become more diverse since we last saw them. So
yeah. Which on the one hand, it's an interesting point because at first I was a little disappointed when I learned that it appears that there's going to be several new, quasi main characters brought into the mix. But then again, the entire first movie is about the four of them meeting and betraying each other and growing and coming back together. Like you couldn't acknowledge a long time gap between the storylines and then still have like their interpersonal relationships still be the biggest focus point of like, oh, we're still getting used to each other. That would be ridiculous.
Right.
So to have, new blood, new people that they interact with and cross paths with, like you're gonna need that.
I agree. I guess the last question I would have, Brian, is, I mean, it might be obvious. It sounds like Tallahassee, but who was your favorite character and why?
I mean, I feel like I'm always partial to Jesse Eisenberg. Mainly because I feel like he's the most relatable to me. Like, everybody wants to be Tallahassee, but in reality, you're not Tallahassee. I am Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah. Like, I'm Columbus if I'm lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, personally, I don't relate to any of them specifically. Like, I'm not really enough of any of them that I could say, like, oh, yeah, that one.
I mean, I think it goes a long way, too, of having a mad crush on Emma Stone, and of course he gets Emma Stone, so that I'm sure that has something to do with it, too.
Does anybody not?
I don't know.
That's fair.
Speaking of those two, one of my favorite standout lines in the writing is, and I think it was just the way that they phrased it, just the wordplay and the word order that they chose. At some point soon after the four of them meet and whatnot, and Columbus has like his inner monologue happening, and he's talking to Wichita and says, someone's ear is dangerous. What is it? Is in a lot of danger of having hair brushed behind it.
Right,
Something to that effect. Just, I mean, after hitting that beat with Columbus earlier in the movie about that just being like something that he would like wants to have to be able to do to someone so desperately, I loved that callback, and I just loved the phrasing of that line.
I feel like when it happens too is very like crucial for his character, because it like you're remembering it a little bit off because it happens like the moment he sees her.
Oh, really?
Like she pops out of the back to come ask for help, and instantly he goes to, somebody's hair is in danger of having, like,
you are right. It's while they're still in the supermarket. That's right.
Like
You're right.
He's just right there and overselling himself immediately on somebody who just popped out of nowhere. And I feel like that plays right to his character. So
good call.
Because it's probably the first woman his age that he's seen in like 3 years.
Well, they make note. He actually makes note of that, like when it happens. Like he says, like,
what? How many years it's been?
No, he's just like, it's, like within 1,000 miles, the only good-looking girl within 1,000 miles that, he's making note of the rarity of running into another person, let alone an attractive woman.
Yeah,
at his own age.
So I don't know. I hope we didn't completely oversell the movie over the last couple of years when it's come up in conversation, that you were still able to kind of subjectively or objectively rather enjoy it and kind of maybe see why we like it so much.
Yeah, I mean, I figured just their brand of comedy and what I've seen in the past, and even just hearing people talk about it, that it would be in my wheelhouse as far as that. I'd say maybe it was overhyped a little just because I think everybody's talked so highly about it for years that just coming at it 10 years late, maybe I'm just a little bit late.
Sure.
And again, some of the drama and suspense is lost on me because it's been 10 years, and now that they are coming out with a sequel, I sort of already know who survives and is involved in the next one, so it takes away a little bit of that drama at the end. But
yeah. Well, then,
yeah, I mean, it was, like I said, it was good enough for me to want to see the sequel, so yeah. I'd call it a win.
And that's perfect this time around, so we can all see that at the same time, and you won't be a decade behind the curve.
That's true. Yeah.
And I mean, I feel like going into it the first time, it was something where it was just another zombie movie the first time I saw it. I had no, like, preconceived notions about what it was going to be. I just was assuming I'm watching a zombie movie that, you know, was based on this Max Brooks survival guide. I didn't realize it was going to be as comedic as it was and as great as I feel that it is. And I feel like that kind of, like, unknown quality factor added to how good it felt.
Yeah.
Because it was not something that was, like, overhyped in any way going into. And I feel like that definitely changes how you can feel about it.
So I've got a question for you guys then. So when we sit down to actually in the theater to see Zombieland 2, who wants to volunteer to sit next to me so that I can hide my face in your shoulder? Should I need to?
I want to say Sarah is a good candidate for that, but just because she kind of, I think, watches horror and thriller this kind of like definitely the same way, but since she knows that this one is more silly and it doesn't depend on like tension and jump scares and like really messing with your head, it's all for fun.
Yeah.
Plus she might be the most kind to you about it.
We'll tell Sarah she's nominated to be my buddy for the movie.
Will do.
Oh, goodness.
All right, any final thoughts? Last round of questions on me while I'm in the hot seat?
Nothing's coming to mind. We're recording this just a mere few days before the release of Double Tap, and I cannot wait.
Any bets on what Tallahassee paints on the side of his car in this one?
Oh,
we still with a 3?
I mean, if it's not a number 3, I think I'm going to be disappointed.
Well, maybe he goes with a Dale Jr. this time. Maybe he gets a number 8 on there. Maybe we get a little change. I don't know.
I did. You know, I think I made that.
You gotta have some character
comment
growth.
when we were watching it. I did ask, is that Dale Earnhardt? And Josh goes, I don't know. You're asking the wrong people.
Yeah, like that was just more of a reflex question. Like I have a thought, I'm voicing it to someone nearby.
Yeah.
Rather than here's who I'm posing the question to. Like until it was pointed out to me, I don't think on my own I realized that it was in reference to race car drivers.
Yeah.
Why did you think that he did it before then?
Just it was another quirky Tallahassee thing that meant something to him, and there was a correlation to it. It wasn't just random. I just didn't know it immediately was to two NASCAR drivers, to a specific one of note, apparently.
I feel like that, maybe could be an argument between one of the new characters and him. Maybe one of the new characters has a different number on the car. Maybe they're a Jeff Gordon fan and it causes conflict.
Let's hope.
All right, last call. Any final thoughts for Zombieland? Nothing?
I think we've said our piece.
Alrighty.
Yep.
All right, so the next time you hear a Never Seen That, which we sort of pre-recorded, which will come out at some point, will be Josh with the first Fast and Furious movie.
That happened.
And after that, we have Josh at least lined up for another Fast and Furious movie, which we will do at some point to be determined. We've got some other movies hopefully in the works that we can sort of talk amongst ourselves and figure it out and try to plan some more of these because they're always fun to do. And I think actually at some point I got to talk to you guys to try to schedule this. We had started Steph with Lord of the Rings. We got through the first 2. She has seen the third one, but it's now been like 2 months, so she's starting to forget what she's seen. We have to at some point schedule that and get that recorded.
Got it.
So that's a to be determined also. But that's it for this one. If you've enjoyed the show, please stop by iTunes or wherever you listen. Leave us a 5-star rating and review. Be sure to share, subscribe, favorite the show. You can now find us on Spotify, so feel free to find us, like us, whatever you can do with us there. That sounds dirty. As always, you can find us on Facebook. Search Bright Guy and his Super Friends or go to facebook.com/BrightGuySuperFriends. You can leave us questions, comments, topic suggestions there. You can try to email us. I won't see it. brightguysuperfriends@gmail.com, or you can tweet us at BGSuperFriends on Twitter. On behalf of Andy, Josh, Mike, and myself, thank you for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
I'll spot your if I.